We're overnight on 3AW, and it is time for Nick Hayes and a media report. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, Andrew. I'm so pleased to hear your voice. I'm so pleased to hear you are back. You've got to tell those blokes that try to come in and replace you, there's just no replacement for Andrew Mclaren.
No wonder you're working your way very well through the corporate world, Hayes, I tell you.
Look, I mean, seriously, I'm putting a serious complaint in, and I think every listener, you've got to, in the morning, first thing in the morning, send a little note to the management at 3AW and just say there is no replacement for Andrew Mclaren. And tell them Nick Hayes sent you.
Oh, yes, the clout you carry from across the Nullarbor. It's quite remarkable.
I think you'll get 3 emails, and definitely Fifi will put something in as well, no doubt.
Dear old Fifi, she's always there when things get tough. Thank you very much. Oh, my God. Nick, now, it has been another, of course, hectic week in the media, well, isn't it? And we're talking about a subject that really is just apparently with us these days. Interesting subhead you've got here, terrorism in the suburbs. Terrorism in the suburbs.
On Thursday morning, we all woke up to hear what was going on in New South Wales. We saw that what was raids on a typical suburban house in the New South Wales, Sydney there, and what could have been next door to us, next door to anyone living in Victoria, raids on houses there. There was a plot there, and it quickly came to light that the authorities were monitoring and checking out, and it came out to be, and it was delivered in the media, that there were plans for this group to go away, kidnap a random person, take them, wrap them in the flag, the ISIL flag, the flag that represents just pure murder and destruction there, that they are supposedly pushing this under the name of religion, and go away and behead them in a public place, as public as St Martin's Place in Sydney, and record it and have it sent around the rest of the world. This is the kind of act, I suppose, that traditionally we would see an act of terrorism on a waterway, on gas or electricity, on our utilities, something that could disrupt what is going on and stopping our way of life, the way that our society works and operates. This is just pure brainless murder. And the randomness of it, the idea that someone will go away and could threaten any one of us out there, is just one of the most pure acts of evil. And this is what they're looking to go away and do, is put the fear factor into all of us through this kind of activity, which our authorities, the government agencies, our security, our police networks are able to monitor. And it pleases me to no end to see that this was foiled, and they'll foil anything that comes forward again. And it just gives us a little reminder that terrorism, as much as we have seen it so much on the shores of other countries, it can reach ours, and it will. We've got to be prepared. We've got to be ready for it, and fight it, because this is not an attack by a Muslim country or by the Islam religion. This is an attack by pure brutes that are nothing more than thugs, dim-witted, evil people, and quite frankly, they should be. I just think should cease to exist.
I know the world would be a better place without them, as far as I'm concerned, really. And there is talk. I was watching The Drum last night on the ABC, and there was some talk amongst the panel that, we've got to be very careful about how far our laws go of arrest and how far we, shall we say, clamp down on democracy and spy on people. But in these cases, really, I don't think there's going to be too much support for, you know what I mean, too much freedom.
Look, I think we're going to see a bipartisan approach to this, to see that they are going to support these kind of restrictions, and also to the ability to arrest. I think that is the simple. I think no one will disagree with that, and it is one of the things that we elect politicians to go away and do, is to protect our way of life and to continue that. I don't think anyone will disagree. What upsets me probably the most, Andrew, is the effect that it will potentially have on others. That it affected me. I'm a 41-year-old adult who can deal with these kind of things. I see these kind of things in media every single day, maybe not to this extent, but what effect it's having on children. I really am saddened to see or think that children around the country are asking, what's this all about, Mum? What's this all about?
I know, and it's all out. So much of this is out there on social media and can be obtained from various websites, illegally or not, or opportunistically or not. And that's what worries me too, about how young some of the eyes seeing some of these horrors are.
They're seeing it. They're seeing it in social media. They're seeing it even in our traditional media. They're hearing about it on radio. They're seeing it in the newspapers. They're not silly. They are far more aware than probably you and I ever were, even when we were at school or in our younger days. They're a much more engaged and tuned in generation, and this is something there to deal with this, the fact that any child could potentially live in fear, and this is ultimately what this mob wants to do. And I'll fight it through, I'll fight it any which way that I can.
Yes, and I don't mind suspending some of our democratic rights if it means apprehending these people either.
Yeah, and particularly because it's happening on our shores.
Yes, it really is. It's quite frightening.
For such a long time, where we've seen it all happening in any other country. We saw it happen in Bali. We saw the towers come down in New York, in the USA, and terrorism always happened outside of this country. We've had a little bit of a checkered past. There's no doubting that, and some things have happened, and that through history that we will probably look back on and say, well, that wasn't quite right. But now this kind of act in the suburbs and the kind of attack that they're putting forward can happen right in as a public place as St Martin's Square in Sydney. It's happening right here, and we've got to be on alert.
Is the Australian media overplaying this? Nick, this is your really perspective as such, and that is the media focus of it. Do you think it's good to just give it all this publicity?
Look, yes and no. Yes, it's good that we are giving it the publicity that is, because I think we all have to be aware. No, I think that we have to pull back a little bit. I think we're probably overplaying it more than others, and whether we're at more risk than any other country, I wouldn't say so. But I think we've been observing what's been going on around the rest of the world, and even the US are not getting so much as caught up in this as what we are. This is a very big political issue on the federal political scene at the moment, and this is something that is also taking away from our domestic issues, which. It could be something that the federal government is enjoying, but I think, look, we have to just hold back, be calm about this, because we'll deal with it. The authorities, the agencies that are out there are very good at what they do, and they can act and do what's required, but be calm.
All right, we'll move. Speaking of local matters, we'll stick... the previous one in a way was, but this was the international terror, but this is of a local terror, some would say. Jacqui Lambie, I know you want to talk about her this morning.
Well,
Nick.
we've just been trying to talk about being calm, and we're going from calm to the ridiculous. We've got Jacqui Lambie, the pup senator out there, going out doing what she's doing. Look, I think she's actually a genius. She's a genius in her stupidity.
Well, there's barely been a week since she was elected as a minor federal politician where she hasn't been in the media. And it's got to be a year now. Well, it is over a year, isn't it, since she came to Parliament?
It has been, and it's been very rare that a day has gone past that she hasn't hit the headlines. But over the weekend, we did see her being interviewed on the ABC. She was asked what her thoughts of Sharia law were. What did she make of it? What was her impression of it? And she struggled with that. She didn't understand what Sharia law is. She couldn't explain what it was about. She stumbled through the interview. All she really did was just emphasise the fact that she is a woman who has made, a political career, a very short political career to date, by being outlandish, by pushing out messages of fear and hate. And quite frankly, it's not the kind of message there that any slightly intelligent Australian would agree with or would take on board. But there is a percentage of human beings, there's a percentage of Australians out there that do agree with what she has to say. They like the way she goes about her business, and we've talked about this before. I think that Jacqui Lambie is a smart operator in that she says it how she sees it and doesn't hold back. But I think her views, she's incredibly poorly advised, and also, too, she's not a very intelligent woman. And I think when I say not intelligent, I think she knows her business, she knows what she's about and who she stands for. But in dealing, and particularly dealing with an ABC program of that calibre, you have to have fair preparation, and you have to know what you are talking about. And you only have to Google Sharia law to know what Sharia law is about. It's not what all Muslims and the Islam religion is fully about. It's not hard to go away and work out what this is about. And this is just a very poor performance from someone who I think is quite scary in that she could be shaping the way a lot of our policies could be made in the future.
But, of course, the media love her. Despite all you've said, she is a media darling. This is how I see it, Nick.
She sells newspapers.
She sells newspapers. Listen to us. We're talking about her. She's occupied the last 2.5 minutes. I've just got a timer here in front of me of your dissertation this morning, and so it goes. And she'll probably be discussed again this morning on the breakfast program. On this, she is absolutely.
Let's do ourselves a favour here, Andrew. Let's do ourselves a favour. Let's not talk about her for the next 2 months, despite what she does. But you're spot on. She does, and this is the way she manipulates it. Now, I think that her media advisor is an ex-member of Parliament, Queensland member, called Rob Messenger. He's been part of this for quite some time now, and he was part of her push and drive when she was on radio and talked about men with big wallets and big packages.
Oh, yes.
Now, that was enough to stir the pot, but, that kind of thing is not going to enrage a nation, an ethnic group, or just probably a few males out there that wish they had bigger wallets and bigger appendages. But at the end, she's now getting to a point where she is getting heard, and heard very loudly, and we need to be able to say, well, look, if you want to be, and if you are a representative of the Australian Parliament, and you want to represent us, at least try and do it not in the way that Pauline Hanson went about it, because I saw one tweet during the week say she actually makes Pauline Hanson look like a moderate.
Oh, jeepers, dear. And there's nearly 5 years to go of Jacqui, isn't there?
We're counting it down. 5 years, 6 days, 16 hours, 23 minutes.
Nick Hayes, thank you very much.
Mr. Mclaren, I look forward to catching up with you next week. And listeners, don't forget, emails in to the management at 3AW. Keep Andrew.
Oh, I can't believe you great toad.
He's not going anywhere. Sorry, no, he's not going anywhere.
No, Nick, thank you very much. Nick Hayes definitely will be back next week on the overnight program. He makes sure he books his berth every week. We'll speak then, Nick.
Excellent, Andrew.
Bye now. Nick Hayes overnight on 3AW.
Hi, Gian here. At Lexus of Blackburn, the biggest Lexus retail